The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Marco, what is up? Welcome to the webinar today. Go ahead and type in where you're at in the world so I can connect with you in the questions box really quick. We've had some big wins over the last 30 days with people inside the Facebook group who've been sharing about all the big things you guys have been creating. So very cool to see. I see Karen, I see Kim, Louisville, MJ, Jordan, Gordon in the house, Crystal, Deb, Steve. Good to see you guys. Josephine, John Hawker in the house, Dan Norton. Good to see all of you in here. I'm excited about this. We are bringing on Melissa Griffin, who is in here right now. If you guys don't know who she is incredible. She is the queen of many things, online marketing, but really got started and made a name for herself on Pinterest and blew up in the world with teaching people about how to use Pinterest because she was getting incredible results and getting a lot of traffic, a lot of leads to her website using Pinterest. And it's something that Pinterest is the thing that drives the most traffic to our website as well. Most people actually don't know that, but a majority of our traffic comes from Pinterest over any other social networking site. And I got lucky because I partnered with a few people who had ownership on some big pages. So they essentially gave me distribution to be able to post like quote cards and images and things like that. But I didn't know how to build it. I just kind of got lucky and had the relationship to have access to these bigger pages. So I still really don't know anything about Pinterest, although it's the #1 traffic source to our site. And we actually haven't been able to capitalize on making it the #1 lead generating source. So I'm excited to learn more from Melissa about how to really generate traffic and leads using Pinterest. And show of hands, just go ahead and type in yes or no if you have a Pinterest page and you're using it actively, let's say once or twice a week right now. Just type in yes if you're using it more than once a week, no if you're not using it. And seeing some yeses. Actually, a lot more yeses than I thought, but there's a lot of no's. It looks like probably 70% no. Oh, there's more yeses coming through. Okay. Yes, 70% no, I'd say still. So today we're going to learn about that, and very excited. So let's kick it off. Melissa, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your time and your wisdom with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I am so honored and so excited to be able to teach your crew. So I think this is going to be amazing and super helpful, and hopefully give you some enlightenment on what you're probably doing right already that's getting you so much traffic from Pinterest. So I am going to play my slides here. Let me know that you can see it. Everything is looking good on your end.
Looks good to me.
Okay, so this is me and Lewis. He actually spoke at my mastermind last month, I think it was, and he's just an amazing person. He's one of my mentors, as you all know him too. I don't need to tell you twice about how amazing he is, but very excited to be able to teach his community right now. So we're going to be talking about how to skyrocket your leads and your traffic with Pinterest. So my Pinterest trainings have been featured in places like Inc., Entrepreneur, Forbes. I'm also part of Pinterest Creator Collective. So they hand selected about 50 people to be part of basically their ambassador program. We get little special perks. I get to learn about algorithm changes first.
Wow,
yeah, we get like our little connects at Pinterest. We can ask questions too. So I come to you with the best advice possible.
So you're like the insider of insiders.
Yeah, there you go. Honestly, sometimes when they're like, you can ask us anything, I'm like, who's making you do this? Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I just don't understand why you're giving me all this information, but it's pretty rad. Wow. And I also have a course called Pinfinite Growth, which is where I teach all of my best Pinterest marketing trainings. Now, why should you use Pinterest? Well, I want to tell you first a little story. When I started my website, my business, it was a graphic design studio, and I was getting a lot of clients, but also really struggling because it was very overwhelming. I had to work super hard to get those clients for my business, and I felt like there must be a better way. So at that time, enter Pinterest, where I started experimenting on these different platforms, Instagram, Pinterest, Google, and I started to find that by pinning things in the right way and using the right strategies brought a ton of new clients and customers and also new leads and subscribers to my website without me really having to do very much. So it felt like I hit this little gold mine of, oh my gosh, I can grow my business without having to work 12 hours a day and struggle to get clients. And what I found was that in a few months, my traffic to my website tripled. It's now over 300,000 or 400,000 monthly page views. My email list grew rapidly. So before I started using Pinterest, I had around 2,000 subscribers, and I'd been growing that email list for about a year, and it just remained stagnant for a long time, plateaued at that point. But a year after using Pinterest, it grew to 35,000 subscribers. The year after that, 100,000, and the year after that, 200,000. So I tell you this because Pinterest has helped me grow my email list on autopilot by just bringing a ton of people who are qualified and right for my community to my website and subscribing to my email list. And of course, that helped my income grow too. In that first year of really using Pinterest more strategically, my business earned $1.3 million from about 240,000 the previous year. And it continues to grow from there, largely because of all the traffic that we're getting and all of the new subscribers that we're getting as well. So I love Pinterest for a lot of reasons, but because it gives me the freedom to run my business, bring in new amazing people to my community, and grow my income without having to work myself to death and have to use a ton of different strategies to get there. But my goal today actually isn't to teach you about Pinterest. Sorry. So my goal is actually a little something more like, that is my dog. He's waiting patiently by the door.
I want to hug him.
Yeah, he's a cutie.
Yeah.
It's a boy. He actually just peed in my office this morning though. So we're not on speaker. Yeah, yes, that's dog. So he's not in good terms with me at the moment. But my goal today isn't to teach you about Pinterest. My goal looks a little more like that person out there right now whose life would be changed if only they knew you existed. And I want to show you today how to help that person find you through Pinterest so that you can impact their life in a meaningful way. So before we get into all the Pinterest strategies, I got to share some myths with you because there's a lot of misinformation about Pinterest out there. A lot of people don't really understand the platform. So myth busted. The first one is that Pinterest is just for recipes or DIY projects or women. Well, not quite. So actually almost every niche you could possibly imagine is represented on Pinterest. There's over 175 million users across the world, and there are 50 billion pins on Pinterest. 50 billion, that's a lot of content. Now, 81% of users right now are female, but 40% of new users are men. So the men on the platform are growing every single day. So whether—
Why is that?
Why is that? Well, they're actually doing some things to increase the number of men because I think they realize that they're creating more of a homogenous platform. So they're trying to attract more men. And I think also men like you maybe are realizing that Pinterest can be a great platform for them too. So it's starting to lose the stigma or lose kind of the branding that it had in the beginning as this DIY platform for women and really become more of a household. Yes. Yeah. So more of a household name now for everyone.
Cool.
Now, in case you're wondering what some of the niches are that are represented on Pinterest that you might not expect, well, there's pins about gardening, pins about crystals. Lewis knows I love crystals. Pins for pins for equestrians, pins about CrossFit, pins for Bible study and tons of different religions and spiritualities, pins about business and marketing, pins about Cabo San Lucas. So there's pretty much pins on any topic you can think of. And if you're not on Pinterest, then your competitors will be, no matter which industry you're in. So now that we've cleared out some of the myths here, let's step into our training. So number one is you want to nail the basics about Pinterest. The first thing is to become a business account. So this is foundational, super simple stuff for now. Now, Pinterest has actually told me that this is critical. You don't want to have just a basic account on Pinterest. You want it to be a business account. Very easy to do. You can actually, I'll give you a link here in a second that you you can go to convert your account, but it also gives you access to Pinterest analytics, and Pinterest just factors that into their algorithm and helps you get better reach. So if you go to business.pinterest.com, you can switch to a business account. Now, you also want to use Pinterest as a search engine because search engines are looking for the highest quality content to rank on their platforms. And this is exactly how Pinterest works too. So a lot of people think of it as this social media website or something along those lines, but that's completely different from how Pinterest actually operates. So for example, on a search engine, blog content tends to do really well, or podcast content, or YouTube content. Basically, some kind of free content that's helping someone in some way does super well on a search engine because, especially for blog content, or if you have text in your podcast or YouTube posts, search engines can crawl that text and basically just read all of the text on all of the articles in the world to find the pieces of content that are the most relevant and helpful on a certain topic. And this is helpful for you because Pinterest works in the exact same way. It's looking for the most helpful and useful content for its members. So with high quality content, I have a few different tips here to help you create it. The first is to create in-depth, lengthy posts. So things like the complete guide to X. And in my perspective, it's better to create less content, but really good content if you want to use search engines as an organic traffic strategy. You also want to add things like screenshots or video or audio or research to support your posts and your content that you're creating for Pinterest. So basically anything that's going to make your content just a little bit better than what else is out there right now is going to help you get more traffic and more people subscribing to your email list.
Is this adding video on Pinterest? Or what do you mean by that?
Do that? Yeah, so good question. This would be more like when they get to your website inside of the piece of content. So for you,
your post,
podcast,
So putting a post that says like the complete guide on like an image, but sending it back to your article that has a lot more in-depth content is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. And for you, for example, you have video for your podcast, you have audio, you also write some text with it. So you've got all your bases covered. And I think that's part of your success is just that you really cover everything. You create amazing content. So when people get to your site, they want to see value, and then they're going to start browsing around, subscribing, and all that good stuff. And then you want all your content to be evergreen. So you don't want it to have some kind of timestamp like spring 2018 fashion trends or something like that. You want it to be evergreen as much as possible, meaning that it's classic, it's timeless, it's just as useful now as it is in 2 years. And we'll talk more about this later, but you want to add opt-in incentives to your posts. Are you doing this right now for your podcast, Lewis?
We haven't been doing opt-in as much per article, but we just had a conversation that we need to do that for every post we do. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So
we have it on our website everywhere, but not like in the article of the podcast. So we need to start doing that.
Right. Yeah. So I would recommend, we'll talk about this later too, but I would recommend having specific opt-ins for each of your posts, whether it's podcast, blog post, anything, have some kind of opt-in that's catered to that topic or category that you're talking about. And that's just going to help you grow your list even more. Mm-hmm. So some titles that tend to do well are things like the number of ways to, like 7 ways to blah, 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 or number of ideas to, 10 ideas to create a vegetable garden. How to create a vegetable garden. How I created. You can fill in the blanks here too. The step-by-step guide too. So anything that really tells people that you are breaking it down for them and giving them specific information on how to hit some goal or accomplish something or learn something that they want to learn. So overall, lists and how-to posts are very enticing, especially on Pinterest, because as it is a search engine, people are looking for information, just like they are on Google. They want information that's going to help them in some way.
Are people literally on Pinterest browsing and searching in for how to do this or gardening tips or fitness tips? Are they doing that on Pinterest?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Got it. So they're not doing it on Google and then it's popping up a Pinterest link, they're on Pinterest as a search engine, like they
Yeah.
would be on YouTube searching for ideas.
Exactly. But one cool thing too is that you actually can go on Google, and if your board is particularly popular in that topic, your board could pop up in Google search results.
Wow, that's pretty big.
So
What are the top 5 most searched topics? Are you aware?
They do change because there's trends and like holidays and stuff that come up, and seasonally it can change too. From my perspective, the top ones tend to be in like the DIY recipes, decor kind of
Fashion,
realms.
decor, yeah.
But I almost don't like telling people that because feel like when people hear that, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what I thought." Like it's not gonna work for me. So
Right, but it's almost like you don't want to be in those spaces because it's probably so saturated that if you're in other subspaces, you have a greater opportunity of quality leads, I'm assuming. But
yeah, totally,
who knows?
100%. Yeah. Okay, so step 2 is thinking about your Pinterest pins. So let's talk about the perfect pin checklist. So this pin over here on the left, I would say, is ideal for Pinterest. And let's talk about why that is. So first of all, it's vertical. So it's roughly 800 by 1200 pixels, but it's vertical. And that's because vertical pins tend to look larger when you're scrolling through the Pinterest feed. So imagine if you type something into Google and all the search results were like different sizes. And obviously the bigger ones are the ones that your eye is going to be drawn to the most. So you want your pins to be the right size for Pinterest so that they really stand out. So make them vertical rather than horizontal. Use on-brand colors and fonts. So I like to have a consistent theme to all of my pins, because once people start going on Pinterest and seeing your pin a couple of times, they're like, hey, I thought I saw that somewhere. And once they see it over and over, they're like, this person must be doing something right. I want to go to their website and see what they're all about, because they're everywhere. I also recommend, and this is huge, large, easy to read text describing the takeaway or using some kind of photo of your product. So this is really important. So here you see it says how to create time-saving systems for your business and blog. And I didn't try to get too fancy here. I didn't try to use a bunch of different fonts. You're not necessarily going for the best design. Maybe you could create something that's more graphically beautiful, but you're really going for something that is, yes, beautiful, but also focuses more on making sure that people can read the title, and that the title is focusing on what that person is going to get out of clicking over to your website. So make that really clear what the takeaway is. Include your website link. Don't put a huge logo, because this is about them and not about you in this case. So I just put a tiny little link at the bottom, mostly just for copyright purposes. And then optional, but recommended if you have it, is to reference an opt-in incentive. So you can see here that I have this little graphic of a workbook, and it says free workbook, and it's pointing to it. And this is just an extra incentive where if there's another post, let's say, on this topic in Pinterest, when someone's scrolling through, they're going to be more likely to click on this pin because they know that there's like a free thing that they're going to get with it, versus some other pin that maybe looks a little messier or doesn't have some kind of freebie associated with it. And that workbook is what I'm going to use to help people grow their list, or help me grow my list. Sorry.
How many of your pins have a free workbook or a free opt-in type of thing on them, and how much better do those convert than the non ones?
Yeah, so I would say that about 30% of my pins do for my content. 30% of my articles and pins have some kind of freebie associated with them. And then for the other ones that don't, it's probably similar to what you have on your website, where it's like just one freebie for the whole website. So they see it in like my sidebar and the top of my site, but 30%-ish have their own unique thing.
And those work pretty well?
Oh, super well. Yeah. So they actually convert better than if you just send them to like a piece of content without a freebie, and you just hope that they sign up for your like universal incentives that you have.
Wow.
Because it's more catered to what they just read, and if they like what they just consumed from you, then they'll want something more. So what I tell people with these free workbooks or checklists or e-guides or whatever is that make them help your audience, whoever just read this blog post, listen to the podcast, either take action more quickly. So the workbook free incentive you create should help them take action more quickly, or help them work out their ideas from the post in a way that creates more meaning for them. So if you can help them do one or both of those things, then it's going to be something they really want to download. Okay. Thinking if there's anything else I forgot there.
Why not do every image with a free download?
Yeah, that is the goal. We just haven't had time to do that.
Got it.
That is definitely the goal. Yeah, we're working actually now on creating opt-ins for all of our podcast episodes too.
Wow.
So soon they will all have one.
Wow. It's just a lot of work. Yeah.
And one thing you can do, like if you are watching this right now and you're like, I don't have time to create one for every single piece of content. What you could do instead is you probably have categories on your website of things that you talk about. Like for Lewis, it might be relationships, health, business, maybe some other ones. And you could create one freebie for each category and then just reuse that freebie on each category every time you post about that topic. So it might not be directly related to the post or podcast or video, but it'll be pretty related. So that could be good enough to start off with.
Nice.
Another thing for your images that you pin onto Pinterest is to use keywords in the file name. So because it does crawl those keywords, those phrases that you use on Pinterest, just like a search engine would, you want to make sure that your images have keyword-rich names. So keyword.jpg, not just like JPEG1234 underscore blah, blah, blah.
So it shows up in Google and everything, yeah.
Yeah, that and on Pinterest. And again, it's evergreen content. So for example, this post would work now just as much as it would work a couple years from now.
Wow.
So again, just some vertical pins so you can see what they look like in the feed. On brand colors and fonts. So this one, they use some different colors, but you can definitely tell it's from the same website. This one has large, easy to read text, which I love.
It's nice.
Yeah, super nice.
That's not yours, is it?
This one's not mine. This is from byregina.com. This one is from my website. So these all reference an opt-in incentive. So you can just see how I did that there too.
So clean.
Thank you. So I want to talk quickly about multiple pin templates. So what I'm trying to share here is that if you don't have a lot of content right now, maybe you're starting out, you don't have many blog posts or podcast episodes or anything like that, and you're like, well, how am I going to use Pinterest if I have nothing to drive people back to my website with? Well, what you could do is create multiple pin templates. So this is, let's say, all for the same piece of content. So you could create things that are in the same style and branding as whatever your website is, but you could change the colors a little bit, or you could try A/B testing different titles that lead back to the same piece of content. So now let's say if you have 5 pieces of content, like 5 blog posts on your website, and you create 5 different templates, images for each of those blog posts, now instead of 5 things you can pin on a Pinterest, now you have, 25? So if you think of it that way, where you're basically just creating different graphics for one piece of content, then now you have more things that you can pin onto Pinterest. So how often should you pin? Well, roughly 50 times per day, which I know sounds insane, but I'll tell you in just a second how I do that without going crazy. You can actually automate most of this.
Wow.
So what I do is I automate 40 pins with looping. So looping is a feature that a lot of Pinterest softwares have. The one that I use for this is called Board Booster. But I think Tailwind either has it or is coming out with it. Those are 2 of the biggest Pinterest softwares. So I automate 40 of those daily pins with looping. And then 10 of those pins to create the 50 are organic. And these can be scheduled. So you can just have like 30 minutes a week where you just go through Pinterest, you schedule a bunch of pins, and you have 10 that go out organically every day. And you can honestly do that in like 30 minutes as long as you know what kind of topics you want to be pinning and you have a good idea of what your people want from you. But
why not just loop 50 a day from the past?
Yeah, so Pinterest has told me that it's good to have some organic content going out every day. So stuff, and that's great too, but you do want to have some organic content going out. Otherwise, they'll kind of see that your account is just purely automated and they won't rank you as highly. So you do want some organic stuff.
Got it. Okay.
And they actually have said that um, 10 or 5 of those pieces of content ideally come from your website. So they want to actually prioritize people who are pinning stuff from their website. So if you've got pieces of content from your site, then definitely put those into the 50 posts that you're scheduling.
Nice. What's the
Yes.
looping?
So
What's the looping called again? The board. What's it called?
Board Booster. Board Booster.
Boardbooster.com.
Yeah, I think it's .com, but if you just Google Board Booster, you can find that.
Cool.
Looping does too is it takes your old content on your boards and it will repin it to like the top of your boards. So things that you pinned like a few months ago, it'll repin for you, which is kind of a cool thing. By then people have kind of forgotten that you pinned that,
Right.
and you're just kind of cycling through all of your content.
Wow.
Okay, so step 3 are your Pinterest boards. So I like to call this hoarding versus curating, because a lot of people that I found on Pinterest are hoarders. Now, Pinterest hoarder is somebody who basically just collects all of the information that they like, that's interesting to them, without really thinking about their audience or their business or their community. They just hoard. But what you want to do is curate things that attract your target audience. And this might seem very simple and basic, but a lot of people do not do this. So when I go to a lot of entrepreneurs' Pinterest accounts, I find that they use it more as like a personal account. But if you just think of any other platform you're on, you really have to just cater it to your audience that you're trying to reach. And what that means is that you should include your content in the first board. You can put your content in other boards as well, but have like a portfolio board as the very first one on your website, or I'm sorry, on your Pinterest account, so that when anybody goes to your Pinterest account, they see your stuff front and center, and they can just scroll through that entire board and just see how amazing you are. You also want to be relevant and helpful to your ideal audience with your boards. So you can have a bunch of different boards on your Pinterest account. They're kind of like albums where you store all of these different pins. And you want all of these boards to be extremely relevant to the people that you're trying to reach, so that when they get to your account, they're like, how did I not know about this person? Because they are speaking my language right now. And include board names with keywords. So we're going to talk more about keywords in a moment, but you want your board names to have keywords because, again, Pinterest is a search engine. And if you're using keywords strategically and using words that people are searching for in your industry, then you're more likely to get those people to come to your account, because now your boards and your pins are going to rank more highly in the search results on Pinterest. Quick sip of water there. So let's see how one of my students does this. So this is Mariah, and she has a graphic design business. So for Mariah, Pinterest has helped her double her income in 1 year. She grew Pinterest from 800 to over 20,000 followers, and her website traffic increased 20x from about 800 page views per month to over 17,000 per month. So these are her boards. And you can see the very first 2 boards on her account are her brand boards, with only stuff from her blog and then her graphic design portfolio, it looks like. And then everything else are boards on different topics, but the first 2 should always be your stuff. Or I'm sorry, the first 1, but if you have something else that you want to highlight, like your portfolio or products, you can have 2. Now, these are some of the other boards that she has on her account. Now, remember, she's a graphic designer, and all of the boards she has have keyword-rich titles. So logos and branding, design layout, website design. And she's not being flowery with the words that she's choosing here. She's going straight to things that someone might be searching for on Pinterest. It's not like pretty website that I love. It's like something that someone might actually be searching for. Yeah. Now, if you're having trouble coming up with new boards, then what I recommend is search for a keyword on Pinterest. So this is what the little search area looks like on Pinterest. Search for a topic that is part of your niche or industry, or you're just trying to think of other board titles based on this particular topic. So search for that keyword, hit enter, And now what Pinterest does is it populates a ton of new ideas for boards and even blog content or other free content that you want to create. So it'll populate all of these words down below, which are ranked in order of what's most popular on Pinterest. So now you know mindset's popular, or like self-development journal, self-development ideas. Now you can name your boards this. You can use these as keywords on your pins, which we'll talk about in a second. You can even use these in the titles of your blog posts or other pieces of content you create. So it's super helpful.
Smart.
All right, and you want to get specific with your boards. So something like gluten-free recipes instead of just recipes. This will give you more options to create more boards on different topics under your kind of general umbrella. And people just like when things are a little bit more categorized. So think about how can you make your boards more specific? Now, your boards should only target topics that your ideal audience or customer would be searching for, and have titles that are searchable. So use keywords. And then once you're done with that, once you've created some boards on your account, I recommend having at least 15 to 20 different boards. Once you do that, then fill up your boards. So ideally, each board should have at least about 50 pins on it. And for your most relevant boards, like the ones that are just so in line with what you want to teach or sell or help people with, then I recommend like 200 plus pins is even better, just so that you have more ammo to attract people to your Pinterest account and website with.
Question for you.
Yes.
200 pins sounds like a lot of work. Is this half curated or is this all original content?
It's mostly curated. Well, so if you have a ton of content, like you have hundreds of podcast episodes, you might be able to get away with using primarily your own content. Because the more you don't have,
let's say you're getting started and you don't have that much. No.
Yeah, right. So if you have a ton of your own content, use that. If you don't, then use a blend of other people's and yours. So my account is like probably 15 to 20% of my content. And then the rest of it is other people's stuff that I've found online or on Pinterest.
Just images that you like, and you just put them on your board.
Yeah. So one thing that makes it really easy is if you use your Pinterest account to only follow people who pin the kind of stuff that you need to be pinning for your audience. And that way, when you log into Pinterest, it's kind of like when you log into Instagram and you see the recent posts. When you log into Pinterest, you'll see all of the recent stuff that they pinned. And now you can just go on a pinning spree and pin it all to your boards. So that makes it very easy and quick to fill up your boards.
Gotcha. Yeah. A couple of questions I saw, and guys, we'll do some questions at the end so I can let Melissa keep going, but a couple of questions I saw for switching to a business account. Is it better to switch it or start a new account and have a personal and a business account?
I would say it's personal preference. So you can just switch your current account. And what you can do if you still want to use it for personal stuff is create secret boards. So you're only ranked by your public boards, but you can have secret boards that no one sees, and they're just for you if you want to pin stuff that's not relevant to your audience or industry. So that's an easy way to just get around that. Cool.
Awesome.
Sweet. Anything else?
I think that's it for now. That was just one that I kept seeing coming in.
Cool.
Yeah.
So the bottom line here is that you want to think of board topics that attract your target audience or clients, and then name them using keywords so that they're searchable. All right, number 4. This is little Monja, my dog. And number 4 is that Pinterest is a search engine. So let's take stock here on kind of the difference between the two. So for social media, it's more like personal content about your life, it's inspirational, and it's opinion-based. For a search engine, it's more informational content that helps solve a problem for your target audience. Now, you could put some inspiration on there as well. I know Lewis has some inspirational quotes that he pins and things like that. But in general, informational content works the best on a search engine. And what's the cornerstone of getting great traffic from a search engine? You use keywords. So with both of those things combined, knowing that Pinterest is a search engine, you want to use informational content and you want to use keywords to attract the right people to your pins and then ultimately to your website. So you do this on Google all the time. When you go to Google and you type anything into the search field, you get a bunch of different keyword suggestions that pop up for you. And anything that you're typing into Google is technically a keyword or phrase. So this is the same exact process and experience that's happening on Pinterest. Now, how will keywords help you? Well, without keywords, people just will not find your content or your profile on Pinterest. They just don't have any medium to be able to find your content if all you're posting is an image with no keywords attached to it. So that's why it's so important that you use keywords on Pinterest so that when people are searching for something, then they find your stuff first. Keywords also make your content searchable, so you'll pop up first in those search results. So it's one thing to have keywords that people can find your content with, but it's totally a different thing when they can find your content and it's at the very top after they search for something. So by doing all the different things that we've talked about, that's just going to elevate your ranking internally inside of Pinterest algorithm so that your stuff comes up at the top of those results. Now, where should you add your keywords? You might be asking. Good question. So there are a few different places where I would add keywords on your Pinterest account to make sure that you get the best results. So the first place is you want to add them into your profile name on Pinterest. So I talk a lot about entrepreneurial tips, blogging tips on my website. So on my Pinterest account, my name is Melissa Griffin, entrepreneur and blogging tips. And so now if anybody goes on Pinterest and types in one of these things, then my account actually has a chance to pop up in those search results, especially if they're sorting by profiles. So you can sort by pins, boards, profiles. I think there's something else that you can sort by too, but basically you just have more of an opportunity to show up first. Now you also, and this is critical, one of the most important things here is to add keywords to your pin descriptions. So it's kind of small, but if you look here at the bottom of this pin, you can see that there is a description and it has keywords in it. So there's the pin image, there's some text that Pinterest pulled from the actual post itself, but then at the very bottom, there's a little description. And within that description, I put some keywords.
So kind of like tagging on YouTube.
Yeah, very similar. It's very similar to tagging or using like a hashtag. It's similar to that too on Instagram. But yes, exactly. So you want to add keywords and hashtags to your description. They actually just introduced hashtags recently, which is kind of an interesting random thing, but it's fine.
Is it good or is it bad? I mean, is it helping?
Yeah, it's helpful. It's kind of a recent development, so it's not super widespread yet that people are using it, which maybe could be a good thing for people who are using it that way. But yeah, so I try to do a blend of keywords and hashtags in my descriptions now. And then ask yourself, what would your target audience be searching for in order to find this particular pin? And come up with some phrases, keywords and phrases that would help somebody who's searching for that topic find this particular pin. Just get in the mindset of like, what would someone be typing into Pinterest right now if they wanted to learn this? And which keywords would bring your target customers or clients to your site? So without even thinking about this particular piece of content, in general, what are the keywords or phrases that you want to be known for, or that you want to sell products on, or that is representative of your industry? So think of some that are specific to this piece of content, as well as some that are more general, things that you want to be known for. So when I'm pinning a new piece of content to my Pinterest account, this is kind of what it looks like. So you can see the pin image, I kind of cut it off there a little bit, but you see the pin image, and then you also see the different keywords and hashtags that I put in there. And then you choose the board that you want to add it to, and you're good to go. But you can see, so this is a podcast episode about how to use meditation to feel like a less stressed, happier version of yourself. And some of the keywords I used were like meditation for beginners, stress relief, daily routine for women. That's actually one that I got from Pinterest with that little trick I showed you. Meditation tips, hashtag meditation teacher. So most of the keywords and hashtags that I'm using are more than one word. And that's just because when people are searching for something, if they're just searching for one word, most people don't use search engines like that, first of all, because it's just not specific enough for what they want help with. But also you're competing with a lot more people who are using that one very general word than if you're kind of niching down a tiny bit and using something more specific. So for example, let's say that you sell bohemian jewelry and you're pinning on Pinterest. You could use keywords in your pin descriptions like handmade jewelry or bohemian jewelry or hashtags like these ones. Or let's say that you're a graphic designer. You could use keywords like graphic design, logo design, feminine website, etc. Or let's say that you blog about getting out of debt. So things like how to get out of debt, financial tips, how to save money, and some different hashtags as well. And generally when I create my descriptions, I make them about this length as well. So I usually don't use more than like 10 different keywords because I feel like it looks a little bit spammy.
Mm-hmm.
Now with my boards, I also do descriptions with keywords for my boards too. So you can see here, this is my entrepreneur and business board. And I give a tiny little sentence describing it. And then I just jump into like keyword land. And I add a bunch of keywords to help people find this particular board.
Wow.
Now this can also start all the way back on your website. So, or your YouTube channel or your podcast, whatever it is. I just do blogging, or I've done that longer, so I use blog posts, but you can start this on your website with the content you're creating there. So your blog post titles, the title of your content on your site is just as important as your keywords on Pinterest. So you want to make sure that you're using stuff there that's going to be relevant to what you're teaching, what the takeaway is, what you're pinning onto Pinterest too. So ask yourself if it includes keywords right in the title that Pinterest can easily see. And a little like helpful thing is that this will also work to help you get traffic from Google too. So Google's a great search engine to get organic traffic from, and you can basically kill two birds with one stone by adding some keywords to your content on your site for Google, and then also leveraging that for Pinterest as well. Now, again, you can do the same process here where we found keywords for our board titles, and you can do this for your Pinterest pin descriptions as well, just to find different keywords and stuff that you can put in the pin descriptions. And finally, we want to turn that traffic into sales. So I like to say that you should create clear paths, because when I go to a lot of business websites, I find that they have something incredible to share and they want to create a big impact in the world, but it's not clear how it is that they help people or what they want to do to help other people or impact the world. So you want it to be extremely clear, right when someone gets on your site, what you're all about. So that's where creating clear paths comes into play. So when somebody arrives on your site, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to subscribe to your email list? Do you want them to know that you're a #1 podcaster? Do you want them to know something else about you or your business? What do you want them to know? What's the takeaway? And ideally, you should encourage them to subscribe to your email list front and center, because if they have to dig around for an opt-in form, they're not going to do it. And most people who go to your website for the first time are not going to buy something right away. They need a little bit of like loving up first. They need to see the value in you and your company. So that's why I think getting them on an email list is hugely important so that you can create that connection and then ask for the sale later on. So I'm going to give you a few examples here. This is Cassie and Shay, and they have an opt-in form right at the top of their site. So you can see this is before you ever scroll down. You might actually hear my dog there in the background. But before you ever have to scroll down, you can see that they have this join the free course button. And this is where you can join a free course that they created. Now they're overachievers. They created a free video course. You can literally create like a free one-page checklist or a free workbook. It doesn't have to be crazy extensive, especially if this is the first time you're doing this.
It's a clean looking site.
It is a clean looking site. This one's beautiful too.
Are these all students of yours?
These are all people in my mastermind.
Nice.
These two ladies. So this is Elizabeth Ryder, and she's a health and wellness coach. And you can see right at the very top of her site, she has this free ebook a lifestyle playbook for healthy modern women. So you can download your copy. She gets your email address and name. And whenever you visit any of her pages from Pinterest, you see this opt-in form right at the top. It's like you cannot miss it. And this is Nicole Walters. Nicole Walters has at the very top of her site, again, name, email address, subscribe. So the thing that these people all have in common is that at the very top, before you ever have to scroll down, when you visit a page on their website from Pinterest, you are seeing an opt-in form. And that's just going to help you convert so much better. So when I actually did this, my website before, a few years ago, did not have opt-in form at the very top. It had one like in the sidebar, maybe at the bottom of my website. And then when I changed the layout a little bit and I added an opt-in form to the very top of my site, my opt-ins that I was getting every day doubled literally overnight just by doing that one little thing.
Wow.
So there are probably a lot of people going to your site now that want to opt in, but they just don't know that they have that option.
I love what you have on the top of your site. I'm not sure if you're going to show people, but we'll link them up here if not. But you have a beautiful style of getting people to really look at the opt-in and opt into it. So,
oh, the little
really
video
cool.
thing?
Yeah, it's really smart.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that I forget the percentage. It might be like 20 to 30%, something like that, that it helped us increase opt-ins. So I can show that after too, but
yeah.
That's a fun little thing. So something we talked about earlier is also creating individual incentives for your posts or your content. So you could create new incentives like we talked about for every new piece of content, or create one incentive for each category of content. So you guys know this, we already talked about it. You guys are geniuses. So what we talked about is referencing to that opt-in incentive right on top of your graphic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when you do all of that, you use Pinterest to get free traffic to your website. Then those new visitors subscribe to your email list because you've got those incentives on each piece of content, and you've got that universal piece of content freebie that's at the very top of your site. And then you turn those people into a community and income. And most of this can be pretty automated. It doesn't have to take you a long time, but it can have massive results on your business and the strategy that you're using to get leads and customers.
Wow.
So for you, your next steps are to become a business account. And let's say you do this in the next 7 to 10 days. Become a business account.
Do it today.
Do it today. There's a lot of stuff on this list, but get through as much as you can today. Reference the perfect pin checklist we went over today to make sure that your pins are optimized. So all those different things like vertical, putting the text on the pin, make sure that your pins are optimized. Clean up your Pinterest boards. So this is something you could definitely do today is go through your Pinterest boards, rename them with things that have keywords in the title, add some new boards that would be perfect for attracting the right people to your brand. And then add keywords to your pins, especially pins that come from your website, because you want those to have the most mojo for getting people to those pins. And finally, consider how to create clear paths on your website. Is it that you have a big opt-in form in your header? Is it that you're more clear right when somebody comes to your site what it's all about? Just think of how you can message yourself in a way where it's very obvious to people what you're all about and how you help them. All right, my friends, if you want to be buddies after this, I do have a course called Pinfinite Growth where I teach my full Pinterest system. And that's also me doing fancy hands. And you can find more of my podcast and information at melissagriffin.com. My name has a funky spelling, so please note that.
M-E-L-Y, yes. Amazing. I'm looking at all these comments coming through. There's a lot more questions that I thought we would have. I was wondering if you could show your, and make sure you guys, I just sent you guys all the link, pinfinitegrowth.com in the chat, and check out melissagriffin.com as well. I wanted to see if you could show them your website, just so they can see.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to just share screen for your website.
Let me pull that up.
And then Bradley, if you can get together maybe the top 5 questions for Melissa, and then we can go over those.
Cool. So funny, actually, on my end, the website looks different. So we're actually
Really?
A/B testing. We're A/B testing it.
I can
So
put
on
it
my
up on
end,
my end.
it's a static image. Yeah, if you want to show
Okay.
yours.
Are you just pointing to it then on yours? Let me see. Um,
Yeah, just like an image.
okay. Change center. Okay, hold on. Here we go. All right, so you guys can see this, I believe. It may not come across that clean, smooth on video or with a webinar, but you can kind of get an idea of what she's doing. She's got her opt-in right up here, and it says, what do you want more of? Traffic, sales. And you click on either one, and then you click to sign up. So I'm assuming you're putting them in different segments based on what they clicked on specifically. So very powerful. So make sure you guys check out her website.
And that
Everything.
little video thing that we did, like I said earlier, I think it increased our daily leads by like 20, maybe 30%. So it's been super helpful.
Wow, amazing.
Feels kind of cheese-ball-y, but oh well.
Yeah, here you go. But if it works,
Yeah.
make it clean. Yeah, let me see. Cool. All right, where's Bradley? Let me see. And then you guys can check out
You guys
this
are so
site as
great.
well.
Any questions?
Pinfinitegrowth.com. You guys can check this out. If you guys want to dive in deeper, you'll get everything inside of this. Again, Melissa is one of the top 50 influencers in the world on Pinterest, from my understanding, from having access to all the information that she does. So this is straight from her asking a lot of the questions, her diving in. She's been on there for years, using it to really build her email list, to drive traffic. How much traffic are you getting to your site, or how much percentage of traffic is coming from Pinterest for you based on everything else?
Yeah, I think at this point it's around like 30%. I've optimized really well for Google too, so a lot of the traffic comes from Google as well, but it is a big chunk of traffic.
That's great. Awesome. Cool. Bradley, let's see where you're at.
Do you want me to read the questions, or I got a few here that I sent to your phone?
Oh, you did? Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
And then my
Or I
phone.
can have you read them.
Yeah, I'll read them out. Let me see. Okay. All right. Where do you see Pinterest going in the next year or two, says Bart?
I see Pinterest becoming a huge search engine. Honestly, I think Pinterest is only just getting started, because I think they kind of made this name as more of a niche site. And now they're really putting in a lot of effort to expand with influencers and just expand to more markets and with men to become one of the biggest search engines. So I think that's coming. And I think you're going to find that people use it for a lot of other topics, which they already do, but I think it's just going to become even more expansive as it grows as a search engine.
How many users are on there right now?
There's around, I think it's a little more than 200 million now at this point.
It's pretty big.
It's pretty big. Yeah. And it's pretty, I can't remember the year that it was created, but it's not like it's been around for a super long time. It's fairly recent.
How many users did it have a year ago? Do you know?
I think a year ago it was more like 150, 175 million. So it's definitely growing too.
Okay, cool. This is from Tina, who says, so if you're directing someone to a blog on your website from Pinterest, do you have to have the opt-in at the header and then within the blog post?
I would recommend it. It doesn't have to be the same opt-in. So here you can see on my website, I have just this universal opt-in at the very top, but then inside of my posts, I'll have like a more specific to that post kind of opt-in. So I would say definitely, yeah.
Click on this top post.
This one doesn't. So we're in the process of adding them to my podcast episodes. I don't think it does. It might if we're there, but I don't think so.
But this is like a pin. This is probably something you pin as well, right?
Yep, exactly.
But it's just in here in the blog post. Got it.
Yeah.
It's clean.
So I don't think we have, no.
An opt-in at the bottom.
I do have that at the bottom. Yeah. So what we're working on now is having something inside of the actual post, which will
Cool.
help them. Yeah. Um, cool. Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question.
Awesome. Okay, next question. How do I leverage Pinterest to get people to comment on my YouTube channel? I have 2 channels, Liberty.
So I think this is something that combines both your Pinterest strategy and your YouTube strategy. So you can put something like the way that I put the little arrow to the opt-in incentive. I would put like a question there or tell people like leave a comment or give them some kind of like emphasis or reason why they should leave a comment. Like you're going to completely disagree with me, but leave a comment and let me know why. Like give them some fire to want to leave a comment. And then when they get to your YouTube channel, I would definitely put that in your video and in the description of your YouTube video as well, because I think it's like a team effort there.
Got it. Okay. This is from Steve. If I'm a beginning transformational coach, what type of pins would you recommend on a Pinterest board? So I'm just starting my online virtual coaching business and don't have any content yet. So if you're just starting out.
Yeah. So, I mean, for anyone in any industry or niche, it would be more about what do your people want to learn? What is going to serve them the most? What's going to help them? What do you think they are searching for or struggling with, or that's a challenge for them right now? And maybe you don't know what those things are. And if that's the case, then you might need to do a little research first to figure out what the topics are that they need help with. But really just in general, it's like what's going to help them and serve them, and then create boards on those different topics.
Would you mind going over for like 2 minutes on your boards, or just like kind of walking through on some of these things and just kind of sharing what yours looks like?
Sure.
All right, let's get you back on here presenting.
Let me do that.
See how the magic is done. Behind the scenes from the master.
Behind the scenes.
Master pinner.
All right, so I'm going to sort by boards. I'm going to scroll down here. So
where do you do when you go to your Pinterest page? What's like a normal 2-minute process for you when you go there? Are you kind of reviewing are you searching on other boards to just see what other people are up to, doing some research? Are you making sure yours are organized? Are you adding stuff? Like,
what I'll typically, yeah, great question. So what I'll typically do is go into my feed. So just click the little button here. This is the content from everybody, everywhere that I'm following. So
this is like your Instagram feed where all your followers and their content comes up. Got it.
Exactly. And I am intentional about following people that I know who pin stuff that would be relevant to my audience. So I just literally go through here, spend a few minutes every week, and then just schedule all this stuff. So this little icon here that if you can see, it's like a little blue thing. That's the Tailwind icon. So you can click that if you have Tailwind, which is a Pinterest scheduling software, and you can schedule it to your Pinterest account.
Right from someone else's board, right from someone else's pin. You can just click on it and it'll automatically, wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it makes it very quick and easy. Literally, you can do the amount that I told you to pin per day and week in like 30 minutes because you're just like, boom, bam.
So you could follow like 20 other boards, their feeds come in, and then you can just click on share for 20 of them or whatever, and they'll go in your board and you're done.
Yes.
Can you change the links on some of those to go back to your site, or is that all original content?
This is all original content from other people's websites. You can see the link to their site right down here at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it would be kind of shady to change the link on these.
Got it. So you wouldn't change those, but you'd add in your own.
Exactly. Yeah. So you would be adding in your own content to this as well. So ideally, you're creating some kind of content on maybe a weekly basis, maybe a monthly basis, but you're creating some kind of content that you have to pin onto Pinterest.
Mm-hmm.
So coming back here to my boards, you can see the first one is just my content, just my pins from my website, melissagriffin.com. And then I have these other boards like entrepreneur and business, personal development. I started a podcast that's largely about personal development. So we actually are going to be adding more boards on this topic.
Wow.
Blogging and bloggers, social media, email marketing. So again, all of these are like very searchable. I'm not using any poetic language or anything that's like cute. It's very just search
Simple
engine.
how-to number type headlines. Yeah.
Yeah, headlines and also the board names as well. So
Mhm.
keeping it real simple. But you can see they're all relevant if you're an entrepreneur or blogger, which is my general audience.
Got it.
Cool.
So you're searching the news feed, you're adding some things to Tailwind, which is your like automatic scheduler. You're checking out your boards, you're adding stuff. And what if someone's like, man, all these look really nice, these images. Are you using a lot of Canva, or is that what you recommend for people to use Canva or something else like that?
Yeah, Canva is a great option, especially for people who just want something that's quick and easy. You can create gorgeous graphics for free in Canva. I use Photoshop for mine, but it's really like personal preference.
Because you're a
Whatever one
pro,
you're more-
you're a designer.
I used to be a designer, so yeah. I have a designer who creates them now, but yeah, I think she uses Photoshop or something.
Nice.
But yeah, Canva is a great option too.
Great. Let me see if there's any other questions that came through. This is from Mike Sanders that says, yo, Lewis and Melissa, I would like to know a little bit about Melissa and how she got started with Lewis. Could she talk about that for a minute or two? Also, are there niches that are not good for Pinterest?
Just to answer the other one really quick, the second question, I personally haven't seen something that doesn't work, but I would say, I mean, honestly, even something like plumbing. I saw a pin recently that was for like toilet cleaning and it had a bunch of repins. So it's really hard to say if there's honestly something that wouldn't work. But the one thing that I guess I could say is that if it's not very informational, and it's more like a personal story, you just need to make sure that your pin is worded in a way that someone can see the takeaway for them. So if you have a lifestyle website or something like that, they just need to be able to see what the lesson is or like what the takeaway is. That's kind of the only thing that I can think of though.
Perfect.
And then as for Lewis, how I discovered, was it how I discovered you, how I got to know you?
How'd you get started? Yeah, I guess started with me.
I went to
How did you?
Lewis's. Yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, you're like, well, tell me too. It's kind of, it like happened from two ways at the same time. So one of my friends who works with me listens to Lewis's podcast and was telling me that I should come with him to Lewis's conference last couple of years ago, Summit of Greatness, the first year he did it. And I was like, I actually didn't really follow Lewis at the time. And I was like, sure, like sounds cool. It seems like a really interesting kind of conference. I'm down. And then around the same time, you reached out to me and wanted to do a webinar together. So we did a webinar together, maybe like right before the conference or something like that. But I went to the conference not knowing a ton.
It was
Was
right
it right after?
Yeah.
Okay, right after the conference.
Bradley was like, oh, you should connect with Melissa. She's awesome.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks, Bradley.
Yeah.
But I remember at the conference, I didn't know a ton about you. And then I was like, sold. Like, he's amazing. This is an incredible place and just such a big heart. So focused on impact. It was if you guys haven't gone to Summit of Greatness, you absolutely should. It's one of the best conferences I've been to.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It's been fun to watch you continue to just soar ever since I met you too. You just continue to grow in a lot of different ways, which is really cool. So if you guys aren't following Melissa on Instagram, make sure to follow her there because she's always talking about the new stuff she's doing. I want to respect your time. Let's maybe do one or two questions left for Melissa before we let her go, and then I'll stick around and do coaching with you guys. This is another one I just saw. It said, would you recommend agriculture or debt collections for Pinterest? And it sounds like you can do anything, is what I'm hearing you say. It doesn't matter.
As long as you're teaching. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you'd be teaching in those realms, but I can definitely see teaching topics on agriculture, and I can definitely see like what you could be informing people about or teaching or educating them on with debt collection too. So yeah.
Got it. Here's one more question I saw from Bonnie. It said, can you go over how to interact on Pinterest with comments or followers, etc.? Can you comment on stuff?
You can. They kind of like take that feature away sometimes and then put it back. Pinterest is kind of in its adolescent teenage years where it's really finding itself, I feel like. So it
Weird.
changes things a lot. But you can comment on pins. I would say that that's not really necessary, to be honest.
And what
I
about
do
messaging
think
followers, or is there a way to like DM people or no?
there is a way to DM people, but it's also not very popular. From my perspective, it's because Pinterest isn't a social media platform. It's a search engine.
Yeah.
I do think comments might factor into their algorithm. I don't think it's a huge thing at all, but I think it could be helpful if you get comments on your pin, but there's really no good way to do that because it's just not really built for that. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
This is another one I saw. Are there any analytical or ranking disadvantages to create a secret board to spend some time curating it before making it public?
You could do that, yeah. If you wanted to spend a few weeks like adding content to it or something, you can do that where you hide it first and then you make it public for the world to see. But I would say, I don't know that there are any advantages to doing it that way, except for if you're a perfectionist and you just want your account to look great from the beginning. But yeah, I don't think that there's necessarily an advantage.
Got it. Okay. Okay, we'll do the final. Let me see. Oh, wait. Okay, final question, then I'll ask you one final one myself. Does categorizing a pin into a board versus board section have different results? And do you recommend using group boards
So categorizing a pin
into a board versus a board section?
I don't think I have board sections on my account yet. I don't know if that's a new feature that I will have to ask about.
Gotcha.
But for now, I'm just categorizing them into my boards. And then for group boards, they used to be hugely popular and very effective. They still are effective, but not as much as they once were. So I would say that they're helpful if you want to use group boards, but they're not like your end all be all, but they're definitely helpful. One other thing that is becoming more and more helpful, kind of like the group boards of the new millennium, is something called tribes. So Tailwind and Board Booster, the two different Pinterest schedulers, they both have a tribes feature where you can basically join. It's almost like a Facebook group, kind of. You're not really talking to people, but you're in a little pod. Maybe it's more like an Instagram pod, actually. You're in a little pod of other Pinterest users, and you all pin your content to this little pod group. And then with the expectation that the other people in the group, when they pin their content, are also pinning everyone else's content from that group. So it's kind of just a group of people who share their own content, pin each other's content, and help each other elevate and grow. So tribes are becoming really popular, and that's kind of what I would suggest now.
This is my last question then for you. You're on every social media site. You're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're on YouTube, right? I think you are.
Have an account, but don't really use it.
Okay, yeah. And you're on Pinterest. Now, if you were starting from scratch with what you know about all the social media sites, but you could only have one account, one social network for a year, which social media site would you say I'm going to go on right now, and for what reason? You had your blog still, but you were trying to, leverage getting the attention out on one of these social networking sites. Would it be Pinterest or would it be something else?
What's your goal?
The goal would be to build an audience, drive traffic, and generate leads.
Pinterest 100%. I think the other ones are valuable too. But Pinterest is different in that it's really designed to elevate the content that you're creating on your website. So I think social media content is great. I love writing Instagram posts and whatnot, but it's not something that's easily searchable. Like you can't really search for your Instagram posts on Google and find those.
After like a couple of days, it's gone pretty much, yeah.
Gone. But like a blog post or a YouTube video or a podcast, those are things that can live for years if people know how to find them. So Pinterest is a great source to get people to find that stuff. Google is a great source too. But I would focus on creating your own original content on your own platform, like a blog or something like that, and then using Pinterest and maybe Google to drive people to that content. And then once you've got some people there, so much easier to get traffic, so much easier to grow your list, and then you can leverage that audience to create an Instagram account and then have a flood of people already follow you there because they were already following you over here on your blog and email list. So I would say Pinterest.
Is there
Unbiased.
Pinterest? Yeah, right. Is there Pinterest ads as well?
They're called promoted pins. We
work.
have tried them, but haven't seen that they're super effective. I think in the coming years, Pinterest will make them more effective, but right now we're not using them.
Cool. And yeah, makes sense. Perfect. I think that's it. I don't want to keep it too long, but this was really powerful. Guys, again, go ahead and leave a comment if you enjoyed Melissa and type in the thing that you learned the most or the thing that you were inspired by the most in the comments. I'm going to stick around for a while and do Q&A, but make sure you follow her on Instagram. It's all just her name at MELYSSA Griffin everywhere. You can go to melissagriffin.com. Check out her course. Again, the Pinterest course, the Pinterest growth course. Make sure you check that out. It's got everything you need in there. Very insightful, very powerful. Melissa, you are a goddess, a queen, and a lot of people are chiming in about this. And I had no idea that Pinterest was being used for business and entrepreneurs. Someone said, loved learning how to use the boards to create a summary of interests that are valuable to your personal brand, personal tags they liked, learning about that. Did not know about business accounts and analytics, or that is known for search engines. So it's Bonnie. So a lot of great comments coming in there. Great content. Says Julie had no idea how to use Pinterest. Thank you. So perfect.
Awesome.
Melissa, you're amazing. Thank you for your time. We love you. We appreciate you. And this was incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Louis, for having me. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate you guys. I hope this was helpful for you.
It's amazing.
Bye.
We'll see you, Melissa. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Yeah, lots of great comments coming in. Very impressed with Melissa and her presentation. Thank you, Melissa. Very impressed. Opt-in, keywords. Yes, yes, yes. Cool. Well, we will. She was incredible, wasn't she? Now we'll do some. Bonnie said, I signed up for her webinar tonight. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, make sure you guys follow her. Send her some love. Check out her program. Again, she's really, really powerful and insightful. Now we're going to do some Q&A for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to dive into some of your questions, bring you on. And before we do that, I want to jump in the Facebook. Sorry, I've got some construction outside. If you can hear some like ringing happening or some buzzing. I want to jump in the group and have you guys share. Powerful Pinterest. We got some great questions coming in, right, Bradley?
A couple people lined up, ready to roll.
Griffin. Hold on, just type this in. I'm gonna have you guys comment on it real quick. All right, let's see who's going to leave a comment in the Facebook group. Go ahead and leave a comment right now as I post this. And we'll see who's in here. See who's commenting. That was powerful, huh? Lots of people. Oh, MJ already in the house. Look at her. Overachiever. Madeline. Loved it. Eye-opening. James, what's up, James? Michael Smith, pinning for growth. That's awesome. Freaking amazing, says Ashley, Eric. Lots of info. Sonia, Adam. we've got an incredible community here. I don't know if you guys have connected with one another, but there's really a lot of potential for connecting with each other and learning from one another. Again, I'm going to be bringing you some of the most inspiring teachers each month coming forward. I'm going to be bringing you more and more experts like Melissa, as well as teaching myself. I realized that I was robbing you guys of a lot of things. I was teaching everything myself, but there's so many other experts out there that I have access to bring in and give you their teaching and training. So I wanted to make the inner circle even more valuable by bringing you some of my closest inner circle to teach some of these topics and dive in deeper. Again, we do great results on Pinterest, but I don't know every little detail like Melissa does. And so I wanted to make sure that we over deliver the value every single month, bringing you, whether if I'm teaching or we bring you an expert teaching, but also doing the Q&A and the coaching at the end. So if you guys liked that format where I was with Melissa, she was teaching, and you want more of that, if you want more of my network, again, my true inner circle, bringing you the latest and greatest wisdom on how to get more leads, more traffic, and build your audience, then let me know. Leave a comment right now in the Facebook group and just say, yes, want more of that content. Adam said, format was great, mind-blowing. Thanks for having Melissa join us today. Learned that my own content needs to do first board. Got it. More of this as MJ. Definitely great to start adding her tips to my Pinterest account. Yes, bring in more experts, says Bonnie. Perfect. I like the business account tip. Please, more of that content. Again, this is the goal, guys. I have access. I'm grateful and blessed to have access to a lot of these individuals, and I want to be able to give you that content. On my podcast, how many of you listen to the School of Greatness podcast? Just type in SOG fan if you listen to the podcast, so I'm aware. If you do, I bring in a lot of interviews. We teach a lot there, but it's a lot more strategy and bigger thinking. It's a lot more mindset. We'll do some business and entrepreneur training, but it's really about overcoming the challenges, the fears, the obstacles that we face. See a lot of School of Greatness fans. That's right. And I don't want to make it just about like specific topics on social media or business in general. That's what I wanted this inner circle to be. It's essentially a solo episode of me teaching a specific topic that's going to get a specific result, or an interview style with an expert on a specific topic that's going to get you a specific financial result in the long run. That's the goal. That's what I've been wanting to do. Lots of School of Greatness fans. I love it. But on the podcast, it doesn't make as much sense because we reach such a broader audience that they wouldn't be as interested. So you guys have really committed to getting bigger and better results in your online following, in your audience, in your social media accounts, in your businesses, things like that. And Melissa is actually a part of the Greatness Mastermind. So she is a part of an elite group of influencers and 7-figure earners who are a part of the Greatness Mastermind. You can check it out, greatnessmastermind.com. But this is again, this is for those that they have a certain income level who are, crushing it at a certain level. So there's a whole application to be a part of this. Whereas the inner circle, anyone can join because I want you guys to have access to this information. But this is the elite of the elite entrepreneurs who are part of the School of Greatness community who go through a number of filters. You have to apply. You have to be making a minimum of $500,000 a year in your business to even apply to where we'll look at it. So these are the cream of the crop. Those that are making a massive impact in the world, have massive audiences, big businesses, things like that. And we're bringing them even more dialed in content on strategic business growth and scaling and all that other stuff that we talk about. So anyways, you guys can check that out, greatnessmastermind.com sometime. Very powerful group. And we just did a weekend where she was at as well. It was incredible. A lot of great comments. A lot of great comments coming in here. My first inner circle training, loved it. Blend of both your experts, and I think each would be valuable. Great to be part of this community now. Thank you, says Ruth. So all the new people on here, it's good to see you guys and very excited. Let's do some coaching. Let's do some coaching, Bradley. Who do we got first? I'm seeing a lot of people in here right now commenting.
We got,
All right.
oh, Asia's got
Oh,
it. Go
you
ahead.
go, Bradley. I'm sorry if I butcher this. Kayatria, if you want to turn on your camera, we are ready for you.
Okay, hi. I think I just turned on my webcam. Just give me a second. Hi,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Where are you at right now, and what's your main question?
So I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
All
and
right.
my main question is,
Do
so
you
I
know the secret room, or what's it called? Safe place.
oh, the
room?
safe house?
Yeah, safe house. That's what it is.
Yeah. You've been?
I've been. It gets kind of boring after the second time, but yes, I've been.
Yeah, it's cool once, and then.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Sorry, go ahead. What's your question?
So I am an acupuncturist, and I have a brick and mortar business here locally. And then I'm working on growing my online business for one-on-one remote consultations. And in doing that, I'm looking at like a bunch of different sort of like options for adding value for people. So I'm looking at like options of creating like a monthly online program where I have a bunch of like how-to videos and like stuff that people can do for home care. I specifically specialize in pediatric care. So like a lot of parents, moms specifically, are interested in that kind of stuff. So that would be one thing. And I like, so let me back up. My main question is where to focus first. So I have this vision of having like online courses, like big online courses for different topics, and then the coaching itself. So like the one-on-one different packages, and then like mini courses, and then like an online membership. So
Sure.
like where to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all personal preference. For me, what I would suggest is to max out your time with one-on-one and max out your rates first with the brick and mortar. And I'm not sure if you're already doing that. If you're already like, I've already got 10 clients a day and I'm like, I've got no more time to grow. But that's what I would focus on first, is getting to a level where you're so overbooked that now you have to cut back and start creating educational resources for your audience that you can't serve. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
I saw this with my acupuncturist who came overbooked. Alyssa does that, and she was in another program of mine, and she created a course called sixfigureacupuncturist.com. You're a part of it, yeah. So now she travels the world just like, you know, working on clients for free in trauma centers essentially. And but she maxed out her clients first and charged more and did that first until she got to that level where she was no longer able to have more time. My girlfriend, she's a doctor as well, doctor of physical therapy. She maxed out her clientele first, where she was doing 10 clients a day for 6 days a week. And once she got to that level, then we said, okay, now let's create a course. And that's what she's done. And she's got one course and now one membership site where all she does is 1 day a week working on people now. And the rest is just building her audience and selling the program. So that's just my personal preference. I would suggest maxing that out first. And then once you've mastered the art of getting clients to the max, mastered the art of raising your rates and charging a premium, then you come with a level of credibility that when you create some type of course or program, whatever it is, book, program, it doesn't matter, it's going to be easier to sell that. So I think it's going to be harder to sell some type of video course now if you don't get to that level first. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it still. And if you just said, screw you, Lewis, I just want to get started, what's the best way? Then I would start asking people, what's the thing that you need the most from me? That if I'm not around to heal you, what would it be? Okay. If I'm not around to give you the acupuncture, what's the thing you need the most? Is it how to let go of stress? Is it, because you can't teach people how to needle themselves.
Right.
You can't prescribe them Chinese herbs without them coming to you. Essentially, you can't just say,
So
"Here,
that's
buy
the
all
idea
these."
with the online stuff is I could
Oh, you
do
could.
that. Yeah. I'm not needle them, but I can do herbs and I can give them like like acupressure protocols that they can do. And there's so much home care that's possible that people don't realize that is a
There you
part
go.
of it. And so that's definitely possible. But for me, the attraction to doing work at home is right here.
Of course, that's it. Yeah,
I'm at home with her all the time.
Sure.
So it's easier for me to do things from home. I can't do a ton
Then
of clients.
then I would think of like, what's the thing? Who are most of your clients? Is it moms? Is it men? Is it women? Is it?
So right now, a lot of women, I kind of work with, I specialize in pediatrics, but also pregnancy and postpartum as well. So lots and lots of moms. That's probably the majority right now. And I have a Facebook group called the Empowered Moms Community. And in there, I like go live every week and I share content and stuff. And a lot of those people are my clients.
How many members are in there?
So I just started this after your
Facebook
last
thing.
training. So I think there's, I don't know, like 100, somewhere around there.
I would ask them, what's the thing they need the most? I don't know if it's like, there's a thing called tapping, which I'm sure you're aware of, but maybe there's like an acupuncture process that people can do with their hands or something, where it's like the 10 points that you can hold, I don't know, to relieve stress as a mom. So you could create a video course to get started, just teaching those and selling that. And a video course is always the easiest way to get started because it's scalable. And once it's done, it's done. And all you have to do is sell it again.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think you could get started. I think a membership site might be something you think about down the line, but just a video training course on how to relieve stress as a busy mom or a pregnant woman or busy mom. And using like ancient wisdom, acupuncture techniques, things like that. Like, how could I do it myself? What's a 5-minute practice that I could do myself?
Cool.
And putting it together and selling that.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
I think the best way to do it is to get people to pay for it first and then create it. So start with your group and say, hey guys, I'm putting together a video series that's going to teach this process. Here's a link. It's $49. Go ahead and buy it. It's coming out in 2 weeks. And if no one buys it, then you don't have to spend any time doing it.
Right.
That's just what I would do. I'd hate for you to go spend a month of your life creating something that no one buys.
Okay.
So anyways, hopefully that gave you some clarity, but
yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Just offer a link for someone to buy on PayPal, and at the minimum, if you want to make it nicer, you can, but just get started somewhere and see if people are willing to pay you.
Okay.
So that's where I'll get started.
All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Bradley, who we got next?
Next up, we got Kim. Kim, if you want to turn your webcam on, we are ready for you.
Kimmy.
Let's see. She was here. Here she comes.
Hello.
There we go. Kim, you there?
Maybe we'll come back to her.
Yeah, right. Okay, Cynthia.
Hello. I think you're muted. If you want to unmute yourself.
There we go.
Oh, thank you for unmuting me. Hi, Louis. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Of course. I think you went somewhere.
Uh-oh. Share my... No. There it is.
There you go.
Hi again.
Where do you live?
Denver, Colorado.
All right.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. Spring is
Yeah.
perfect in the Rockies.
Amazing.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
what's your question?
I'm an attorney. I specialize in employment law, and I have my own practice. I've had it for about 15 years. And so I handle issues like sexual harassment, wrongful termination, wage and hour, things like that.
Wow.
And
You must be
yeah,
busy right now.
well, thanks to Harvey Weinstein, I'm
You're
very
busy.
busy now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But about 5 or 6 years ago, I started doing trainings. And I created one called Creating a Respectful Workplace. And the reason I did that is because I get so many phone calls from people who complain about what's going on at their job, how they're being treated, but it's not necessarily illegal, but it's inappropriate, it's rude, it's offensive, and it needs to stop. So I created this training, and I've been doing it all over the Denver metro area, and I'm getting a lot more traction in the last couple of months. And I find that I really love it. I'm very passionate about helping to create really good, positive workplaces. And I want to take this further than just Denver. And I'm a little bit lost as to how to get started. But I've listened to you long enough, and I know I need to create some content that I can give to people. So I've already started my book, but I'd like to know what you might suggest as my next best steps.
For me, I feel like I would create an online video curriculum of the same stuff you're already doing, and maybe it's nicer production than what you already have in person, or maybe you simply just bring a film crew and film what you're already doing for a corporation and use that as the content. And I would simply just create a curriculum that you sell to HR professionals, or that you sell to the corporations that are looking for more of this content. And it's more of an enterprise package. And you'd be using a lot of LinkedIn and reaching out to people on LinkedIn to find like the HR people and just selling it one-to-one, but they'd be sharing it to, potentially 500 or 1,000 employees, and like giving them a license for using it per user. That's the way that I would take this personally. And because it's a lot of work to like build an audience in general. But if you can sell it to one person and get a license fee per user, I don't know, $20 a person for 500 employees, then it's like, okay, it makes sense to just, then you go speak at all those HR conferences, or you're speaking at all those events around company culture, things like that, from the attorney's point of view, and saying, listen, here's all the legalities of what is acceptable, what's not acceptable in the workplace. Like, maybe he shouldn't have winked at her, but that's actually not illegal. I don't know. I'm just making this up. But here's what is sexual harassment. Here's what isn't in terms of training. And then here's how to create employees that love being a part of this, of like what's acceptable, what's morally acceptable, or what's not, and how to really cultivate that. I think that'd be a powerful training. And just one human being's opinion, I just think it'd be more powerful for you to sell that directly to the HR professionals and build out like a licensing thing for that.
Scale it so it's not just me doing one training after another after another.
Exactly. But create the training so it's complete, and then you're just selling it, but it's already done, because you having to show up and constantly deliver the training is a lot. But but if you're getting a premium for selling it, or for showing up, okay. But otherwise, you have the whole curriculum complete. You license it to a company, and based on the amount of employees they have, there's a price scale. Maybe if it's a small company of like 30 employees or less, then it's, I don't know, whatever, a couple $1,000s. And after that, it's a sliding scale based on how many people use it. But that's the approach I would take, and I think there's a unique angle you have there. So
thank you. Thank you so much for your input. I appreciate it. And thanks for everything you do. It's awesome.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, Cynthia. I appreciate you. All righty. Who we got next,
Next
Asia?
we have Jennifer.
Hi.
Hello.
Jennifer.
Hi.
How you doing?
So thank you so much. So I own a gluten, grain, and refined sugar-free restaurant in Denver, Colorado, and our goal is to scale.
Cynthia, you should go to this restaurant. What's it called?
Just Be Kitchen.
Just Be Kitchen. It's a gluten, grain, and sugar-free
refined sugar free,
Wow.
and 99.9% dairy free.
Wow. That's like Whole 30
Yeah,
restaurant.
it's a paleo restaurant, and we have Whole30 approved meals and stuff.
Amazing. Because I'm doing the Whole 30 right now. So
Are you?
yes, and
How's
I've
it going?
eliminated all those things in my life. So
What day are you on?
I'm on, I'm only on day 3, but I've done it many times. So
Okay.
I've done it up to 45 days, and it was like fine, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Once I put
Yeah.
my mind to something, I can like fully commit and be into it.
Do it.
So the first time in the first week was challenging. I'll say that. Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool. How long have you had the restaurant?
So we just hit our first year anniversary.
Congrats. It's called Just Be.
Just Be Kitchen. So it's at Just BE, Just Be Kitchen.
I like it. Okay. First
you.
year. How's it doing?
It's doing good. I mean, it's a challenging business to be in.
Restaurants
Not
are
the
hard.
easiest. But it's really good. And we've been forming like a tribe of people. I mean, Denver's the demographic here is very healthy and
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah. So we're a destination restaurant for a lot of food allergies, but then we have a lot of high performance athletes here and then just people who want to be their best self. So
What part of town is it in?
it's on the border of downtown and Lodi.
Great. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And so what's the goal now?
The goal is to be the Starbucks of gluten-free. So my question is, how do you continue to work on your business today, but in parallel, be working on the business of the future?
Good question. So how do you not go broke today, but also work towards the vision of where you want it to be?
Absolutely. And focus, like the focus, because you get drawn into so many of the day-to-day.
I'm not a franchise expert, but I know a lot of people who have built franchises, and I know a lot of people who have restaurants. And a friend of mine tried to open up a restaurant. I don't know if you know Mark Sisson, who created like Primal Kitchen.
They just came in yesterday, actually.
Yeah, because they opened them here and then they closed them down after like
That's
3 or
what
4
I heard,
months
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it didn't work.
But
And
he
it's-
outsourced that. I understand. I don't
Yeah.
think he was, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's like, I definitely know there's a way to do it where people are really successful. I think you've got to be so simplified. I mean, you probably know more about this than I do because you've been researching it, but I think being very streamlined in everything you do and not taking on a lot of opportunity, but getting so dialed in on every system in place is what's going to help you franchise it. Because if there's no systems, you can't franchise it. And I'm assuming you already know that. If I were you, I would be hiring a strategic coach in the space who has taken multiple startup restaurants to franchising and just follow the steps of everything you need to do in order to sell your first, franchise, unless you want to do it all yourself and build it out and not franchise it. But that's the process I would take, is figure out what do I need to do to systematize everything so that I can just have a template and pass it off to someone and they can build it. You know what I mean? From where you're getting the food sources to everything, That's my initial thought. But that's a whole nother business. I mean, you got a lot going on because it's a lot of moving pieces every single day. Inventory, managing people, managing expenses, everything.
Yeah.
Being up to food regulation, like all that stuff is like inspections, like a whole other stuff that people in the online space don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of rewards that come with it, but there's a lot of prices you pay too, probably.
Yeah, it's tough. It's rewarding because I think unlike maybe other restaurants, our customers are incredibly filled with gratitude and
they're happy, they're healthy, you're healing people.
Yeah.
I get it. I think it's amazing. Why do you want to franchise it then, or you just want to build them out?
Actually, in my business plan, the first 20 units, I'd ideally like to keep independent just because of the quality we're a scratch kitchen. And so whilst I understand that franchising has become better, in keeping the integrity of the product, it's still something that concerns me.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally the first 20 units would be independent.
Sure. I mean, the model I've seen worked is like the Sweet Green model. Do you know that brand?
The ice cream?
No, Sweet Green.
Oh, Sweet Green. Yeah, yeah.
It's like they've done an unbelievable job of like building it out. I mean, it's massive here in LA and New York and all over the place there. But
They funded all their units.
I think I'm not sure if they did or not, but just a model of how they've scaled it and just taken over it. Like it's just full every single day.
Yeah.
So I would study that model. I would study other health models like that have scaled and built out multiple, because they have ingredients coming in from all over the place. They've got tons of employees. Like it's just a lot to manage.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
it's, yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and that's the challenge in the healthy food segment is a lot of the large, kind of mentors to look to have been driving down the cost of food products. So it's a little bit different because our products, we use coconut oil. We only cook in coconut oil. That's a higher product. But when you talk to I've talked to Burger King, they're looking at all kinds of like cost reduction, and canola oil and stuff. So it's the industry is it's very new in the healthy food segment.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, if I were you, I'd find a strategic consultant who's done this, who can give you the exact roadmap, because I'm not gonna be able to give you that. But
and
I do know.
You recommend consultant over like asking, like Denver is a mecca of fast casual. So I've reached out to a number of the executives, and successful fast casuals like Tokyo Joe's and Garbanzo's and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And asked to be part of the board, or do you think having somebody hired on permanently?
It all depends what you want. If you have the cash to like hire someone on permanently, or
No.
just to like hire someone for like 2 days of time as a strategic coach who's helped 10 other restaurants like yourself get to the 50 properties, or whatever, or go from franchises or whatever it may be. I would find an expert, pay them, I don't know, 10 grand to say, hey, come into our business for 2 days, like see what we're doing wrong, see what we're doing right, and give us the direct path to getting our first 10 or our next 10 locations, whether it's Denver or other cities, how much it's going to cost, how many employees it's going to take, just to give you a roadmap and to see if like what's realistic for you right now, or if it's going to take a few years or whatever it may be. That's what I would do, is find someone like the founder of Veggie Grill, who I've met a few times, which is like the first vegan casual, restaurant here in LA or whatever.
Yeah.
And they've got multiple locations. So it's like finding them or finding someone else and be like, hey, let's hire someone for like a couple of days.
Okay.
That's what I would do, to just get you a full assessment of like, here's how much everything's going to cost. Here's what it's going to take. Here's how many people. Here's how you're going to have to hire certain people, all those things. But I think you're going to want to find a strategic partner soon. If that's the key, that you're going to want to build out more of these, you're probably going to want some help with a strategic partner who's already done it.
Okay. Thank you.
That's just my one man's opinion. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to come check it out when I'm in town.
Please do.
What's the website?
Justbekitchen.com. And then the Instagram handle is @justbekitchen.
And .com. I'm going to check it out right now. Put it up on here. Justbekitchen.com. Awesome. Ooh, It looks amazing. So this is grain-free tortilla?
Grain-free. Yeah, it's an almond flour tortilla. We make them scratch every day.
No way.
Yeah.
Now, what's those new tortillas they send? Oh my God, look at this burger. What is that bun? Gluten-free bun?
It's arrowroot flour based.
Oh, I want it all now. What's that new tortilla that's amazing, that's like blowing up, that's grain-free, gluten-free?
Siete.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Your tortillas are better?
Of course, I think so.
Is this?
We actually, that's a whole other
dairy-free?
The Divine, that's called, all of our dishes are named after different states of well-being, and so that's called the Divine, and it's a dairy-free and gluten, grain, sugar-free, like brownie trifle.
Oh my God! So it's kind of like Cafe Gratitude meets something else.
A lot of people from LA come and they're like, oh, it's kind of like Cafe Gratitude. You guys are
cool. I like it. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Great job. I want to come eat there now.
Please
I want-
do.
I want
I'd love to
that
host
burrito.
you.
Wow. Perfect. Awesome. I appreciate you very much. Thanks,
Thank
Jennifer.
you. I appreciate you. Bye.
I'll see you. All right. Let's dive into one or two more questions.
Perfect. We got two more. We have Tansy.
Tansy in the house.
Hello. Can you hear me?
What's up, Tansy?
Hello. How are you?
You look like a CrossFitter.
Well, my specialty is fitness and wellness, and that's why I'm here. So
Awesome. You do CrossFit, or is it more like functional fitness training?
I do functional fitness training.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So you were a CrossFitter that got smart.
No, actually, interestingly enough, I also do physical therapy, and
Oh.
I have rehabbed many CrossFitters. So that has kept me away
Yes.
from the sport.
My girlfriend as well has made her very busy.
Yeah.
Every physical therapist has a lot of work these days.
Yeah.
Very cool. Where are you at, Tansy? Where do you live?
I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Yeah, about an hour and a half from Philadelphia.
Nice. That means you're driving over to the Summit of Greatness this year, I hope.
I don't know about this year, but
Oh,
it's
no.
on my list. It's on my list.
I'm telling you, you got to make it happen. It's a game changer experience.
Everybody that talks about it being a game changer. So I know I have to get there.
Put the dates down, October 4th through 6th. It's a
All
close
right, I'm
drive.
writing it.
It's a
I'm
close
writing it.
drive. Before you even get into this, I know a bunch of people signed up recently because the price actually goes up. I think it's next week.
Okay.
But you guys gotta go check out summitofgreatness.com, get your tickets. I think the price is going up next week. I can't remember exactly, but we just announced the first two speakers, Dr. Mark Hyman and Dr. Shafali. We've got some other huge names we haven't announced. We're gonna be announcing every couple of weeks. But yeah, it's gonna be a game changer. So get your tickets ASAP. All right. What is your question?
All right. So here's the deal. My niche is to work with women, energy building for women in a holistic way. So I focus on fitness, nutrition, hormones, spirituality, stress management. My biggest concern and my biggest problem has been how to stand out in this red sea of health and wellness professionals. The people who
There's a lot of them
comment.
out there. I thought it was not that many.
I know, right? So the people that do respond and interact to what I do put out into the world typically seem to be the people who, or seem to be the people that I'm trying to move away from. And what I mean by that is I used to do just personal training and adding and getting a lot of my clientele from the physical therapy realm. So I was doing a lot of post-rehab, reintroduced back into the gym kind of settings. But I'm trying to grow the other side. So I'm trying to grow the health and wellness for women and focusing more on that whole person holistic health building. However, the people that are coming to me for more work is typically by word of mouth. It's by what they know me of. It's by other people talking about me and my work. And it tends to be the same thing that I'm trying to gravitate away from.
Why are you trying to get away from it? People are willing to pay you top dollar for it.
It is.
You're talking about one-on-one work, right?
Right. And I would like to still do some one-on-one work, but here is, it's because primarily of how I've grown as a person. So yeah. I actually, back in August, I just left my full-time job in physical therapy to expand my business. And the reason was because it was hurting my soul to hear people talk nonstop about how they were not healing, they were not getting better, and they were not able to take care of themselves. But they would tell me about the kind of foods they ate. They would tell me about their stress levels. They would tell me about their spirituality practices. And it was killing me because I knew that there was so much more. So I'm really trying to follow more of my heart and passion now, rather than just feeling like I'm scraping the surface of health and wellness.
Okay. So what's your main goal then?
So my main goal is, number one, to start to be seen as what I am trying to niche out as and to brand myself more as. So to get more known so that I can bring more clientele into that arena. But eventually I want to grow into my online courses, get out of just my localized area and get more national and so forth. And
So you're trying to build an audience online, or are you just trying to build an audience locally with that?
I'm trying to ultimately build an audience online.
Where do you spend the most time at? What site?
Primarily Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
It's instagram.com/TansyNR. So TANSYNR. Yeah.
NR. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to essentially teach people about much more than just physical healing, but healing from the inside out. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So oh, go ahead.
So you don't want to just go and treat people on their physical symptoms. You want to help people who are committed to learning meditation and learning how to do more preventative care and learning how to overcome stress and learning nutrition and everything else so that they don't cause as much pain and inflammation. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. So what I heard you say is you want to work with people that are more into that style of approach. Is that right?
Yeah. So my ideal client is that busy professional woman who doesn't necessarily have time to take care of herself and is fatigued, has increased inflammation and pain, and doesn't really know where to start to get healthier, even though she thinks she's doing it right.
Right. Who are the people you're working on currently that you don't think that you like?
So the people that are, interestingly enough, I have this huge circle of ex-professors that I've been working with in the physical therapy and the personal training side. They all know what I do outside of that. I talk to them about health and wellness all the time. But none of them are interested in taking it to that next level. In doing, I've pitched different concepts, different courses, different health coaching programs that I've had, and they're just not really interested.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm going to share my feedback. Mm-hmm. You may not want to hear it, and you may disregard it, and maybe I don't have the full story or the full picture. But it sounds like the people that need it the most you're already working on, but they're just not receptive to changing a lifestyle or changing habits of whether it be eating or stress or hanging out with toxic people that are causing a lot of the pain and the inflammation, whatever it is. My girlfriend's a doctor of physical therapy, so I hear about this all the time. And you have an opportunity to persuade those individuals to change the way they think so that they can heal. If you don't do it, they're never going to change. So if you're only working with people that are like, yes, I'm open to this and I want to do it and it's going to be easy because I'm going to follow through whatever you say, then okay, awesome. I mean, and those people, great. But I think the key will be finding the resistant people who are in pain and saying, hey, listen, you can come here every week, twice a week and work with me and do mobility and do inflammation release and all this other stuff. But nothing's going to change. It's going to be a temporary Band-Aid until you start to shift these 5 key areas of your life. Mm-hmm. And just letting them know. So I don't know, part of me is like the audience that is resisting should be the audience. And if they're willing to come to you, then you have an opportunity to use your voice and use your insights and your wisdom to get them to shift. So that's my only feedback there, is that I wouldn't push away the people that are resisting it. I would, essentially tell them, like, educate them that them coming to you is not going to heal them unless they do everything else that supports the actual physical modalities that you're adding with them at that time. So that's just my own personal opinion. But if you don't want to work with those people, that's fine. I think you've got to, just looking at your Instagram, if you want my honest feedback, there's nothing unique about this. There's nothing that stands out that makes me want to follow, that makes me like, I don't know your personality, except for maybe there's something you said in this video here, but otherwise it's just some inspiring quotes, which is not bad, but there's nothing unique. And so what's going to make you stand apart? And
that's what I've been having the most struggle with. I know that what I'm putting out does not capture my personality. It doesn't pull people in to want to follow me. I'm struggling with figuring out how to stand out from what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give an example. My girlfriend, since she's in your same space, but she's got 450,000 followers, and this is what she's teaching. She's educating people on how to heal themselves. And she's got nutritional stuff in there as well, but she's then showing videos, giving value, showing what she knows and how you can heal yourself with these specific videos, mobility videos, pain relieving videos, alignment videos, things that she does when she's working on people and just teaching you how to do this yourself. And then she's adding some of her personality. Here's a video of us, doing some acrobatic stuff, things like that. But she's adding value by giving education. And when I look at your page, it's just not, it's not there yet. Here's something cool that's like some nutritional stuff that's great, but I see very little of your personality or you talking. That's going to teach me something. Okay. So just inspirational quotes is not teaching me something enough. And I think that's going to be like, here's one. This is probably, got 152 views, 12 comments, more than anything else, right? So, and this is probably you doing some type of workout or teaching or inspiring that way. So it's got to be more of that. Do the thing that works and educate. Say, hey, I'm with a 60-second rant on how I was just working on a few clients today, and the common theme was they're in pain. They're constantly in pain. And no matter how much, and this is something I say to all my clients, no matter how much you come here and work with me, it's a Band-Aid unless you do the 5 core principles of living an abundant life or pain-free life or whatever it is you want to come up with. Like, what are those 5 things? It's like having great family life, having great food, having great fitness, having great faith, having great fun. I just made this shit up. So it's like, what are the 5 keys to like getting rid of pain? Well, yes, you need great mobility, and yes, it's going to help when you do this. But if all 5 of these, things aren't in alignment with your true vision of your life, then you're going to constantly come back with pain. You're going to constantly have inflammation. You're going to constantly need a physical therapist to work on you to relieve pain for 10 to 30 minutes. And it's never going to go away until you optimize the 5 F's of life, or whatever it is you're going to come up with. And I think that's what you got to start doing. Again, there's nothing unique about you in the way you're being perceived to me right now, which I'm sure there's lots that's unique about you. But if you want to sell something, it's all about perception. It's about the brand that people portray you as, not how you portray yourself, because your brand is not the way you look at yourself. The brand is what myself and everyone else looks at you to be. And if you're not showing me that you're educational, that you're informational, that you've got credibility, then you are not those things in the perception of other people. And you will never grow outside of where your local community right now. It sounds like in your local community, the perception is you're very talented, you're very credible, you're very knowledgeable, and that's why you get referrals. But beyond that, online, you need to create that experience for the rest of us online for us to want to connect with you. So
yeah, well,
that's
I've gotten the most feedback from whenever, because I also do workshops and live speaking. So I've gotten most of my positive feedback from when I'm doing stuff like that. Like something you would tell me
and put that on.
Okay.
Yeah, take out little 1-minute clips and put them on Instagram. Why is there nothing of you?
Okay.
And just a photo of you doing yoga pose, unless it's I think teaching us something. Like, this is a nice little story you have here, but I think it's got to be like, everything's got to be teaching a lesson. Like, why I do yoga every morning at 6 a.m. One, it optimizes the 5 the 5 keys of like pain-free life that I always talk about. You know, it helps me align to my vision for the day of who, the type of woman I want to be, how I want to show up, how I'm going to respond to stressful situations. It grounds me. It gets my body moving. It gets my, you know, all these things. You want to make everything a lesson, everything a teaching point that inspires and educates people to implement that for their own life. And that way they know when they come to you, they're going to get these core principles more so than you just working on people all day. So
Yeah. Okay.
hopefully, was that helpful?
It was very helpful. I mean, you cleared up a few things that I feel like I get very controversial and different opinions all the time from people that I watch and that I feed into. So I get really confused, like, should I tell stories? Should I be teaching people? Should I do this or that? So this was really helpful.
I think you shouldn't be boring is whatever
Yeah.
you know, don't be boring. You know, different is better than better.
You saying I'm boring?
I'm not saying you're boring, but you're not different.
Yeah.
And different is better than better is what my friend Sally Hogshead says. And you've got to be willing to show people your uniqueness. And from your Instagram page, I see nothing that's unique, except for when I click on a couple videos of you where there's some things. But the more you use storytelling, or the more you share your personalness within the practice and the teachings, the better. Again, I just use my girlfriend as an example because she's in your space, that when she uses her voice and does videos and shows like her doing silly, fun things at the same time, like it attracts people to learn more from her. And, you know, in the last 6 months, she's generated multiple 6 figures from one online course. So there's no coincidence and there's no accident that the more you put yourself out there and you use your uniqueness and add value in your own way. I'm not saying you have to copy someone. I'm saying you figure out what's different and unique about you and put that out there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Thanks, Tansy.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Maybe we'll end it there since it has been a couple hours now, and I was really speaking to everyone with that. So anyone who's asking questions about how do I launch this, how do I launch that, how do I get, you know, break through the noise, I gave you the answer there about finding your uniqueness. You know, our perception of you is really what your brand is, and not what you think your brand is. It's what we think your brand is. So really make sure, you know, just looking at summitofgreatness.com, you know, the brand that I want needs to come across clearly on the design elements, on the feel. You see the video where everyone's smiling. I'm showing credibility. Here's celebrities who are speaking there. Here's incredible performances, awe-inspiring moments, music, an experience that you'll always remember that'll give you goosebumps when you show up. That's what I wanted to create. Community. Everything you see in the first 20 seconds before you even scroll is this artistic, empowering, inspiring.